So it's actually very important to have a strong cohort of founders with you, and that will help you become the support network. That actually becomes the ideas of EntreConnect. So a couple of friends and me together to build EntreConnect for founders and by founders. So the idea of the community is that all the founders come together to share our learnings for the highs and lows as we're building our startups. And that will help other people. So one thing is like, we often ask questions like, what's the advices you can tell 2 years of you, the younger version of you? We cannot do time travel and go back to tell younger version of ourselves. However, there are many founders who are in the early stage of us. So if you are Series A founders, you might see some issues that that is very good for seed stage founders to know. So we want to create this community in which that founders can help each other. So that's the motivation. And this wouldn't be possible with an awesome teams of volunteers and founders, organizers of the EntreConnect. So there's a great team of EntreConnect here. Please hands up. Stand up, stand up. Then we can say a quick selling from your name so that everyone knows you.
Hi, I'm Hong Yu. Glad I'm here. Nice to meet you all.
I'm Cici. I'm Sophie.
Thank you. We also have Ruby and Sylvia who are not here today. So we all have our day job. We work in different companies, we're Google, and we do a startup. But we donate our time to do this. Is a nonprofit community. We put our efforts and passion into it. And the reason we come together is that we want to create a community that everyone is helping everyone. Yeah, thank you. And also, this event wouldn't be possible without great sponsors. And today we have great sponsors of Spring Camp. So they are Korean VC, very well known in Korea. They are setting up their office, this beautiful office as a study in the US. They're also looking for great founders as well. So if you are interested to talk with investors, and you can talk with them. So for the, I think Victor, anyone? Yeah, cool. You know well to find them, to talk to them. Thank you very much for making this event happen. Thank you. And today we have two great panel speakers, Rachel and Sung-Yong, are joining us to share their visions about the Gen AI and the startup buildings. So Rachel is the founder of Cambio ML. It's a company to provide API and services to turn unstructured data into structured data, making it easier for any AI applications. And previously, Rachel worked in Amazon as an applied scientist. And Sung-Yong is also working in the data field. He's the founder and CEO of Hodonos, a company to help you the model evaluation incredibly easy. By the way, I'm also trying his model as a medium. And he previously also is the founder of Bobby and a longtime friend. He's actually my mentor when I was at Google and helped me a lot when I left Google. Google will hate you. Yeah. Cool. Thank you both for coming for the panel, and then let's get started. In fact, before I started, I want to do a quick check in the room. How many of you are doing startup right now? Founders? Okay, so founders. How many of you are engineers? Cool. How many of you are AI researchers? Cool, cool. How many of you are investors? Cool, awesome. Any other interesting job category you would like to call? All right, so we have a room of people coming, and everyone is interested in AI, and a lot of exciting things happen in AI every day, every week. I think like by entering this panel, it wouldn't be possible to start without mentioning GPT-01. So everyone is talking about this. Is AI going to be dominant again, take over the humanity? So there's a lot of buzz about strawberry. I think 2 months ago I already know strawberry is like it's going to happen, and now it happens. I'm curious that to both of you, how do you think about the GPT-01, and how does it impact your business?
Yeah, I think O1 is very impressive, and many people thought about new architecture of GPT, but they changed the inference side only, and they make it really amazing, and then the performance is getting much better than before. I'd love to see more of architecture changes, not just increasing the size of the neural net model, but also the new architectures and new ways of inference and new ways of reasoning over time. And it has not a direct impact onto our business. It will have an impact in probably next year. They are increasing the adoption of the LLMs in the market. Then we will have more customers. I'm happy to see all those changes.
That's good. More customers, more money.
Different version of models will lead to more customers for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. From my side, actually, quick survey. How many of you read the O1 paper?
Can you repeat?
How many of you read the O1 paper?
Maybe
Very
we just
helpful.
get a context of the O1 is a newer version of the model released by OpenAI that is very good at logical reasoning and planning. Of course, it's a little bit slower, and the idea is that they put more computation in the inference time versus in the training time. So they take it as a metaphor. It's like is now are good at deep thinking or slow thinking for hard problems. Yeah.
Or I would say, think before you tell.
Think before you tell. Great say. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So if you read the O1 paper, basically O1 performs much better on like logic thinking, like IMO tasks,
Yeah.
physics, chemistry, or math problem solving. If you use O1, it basically will think through a chain of thoughts. So basically, it will think for like 10 seconds, or there's like a funny paragraph on Twitter, like think for 720 hours, and then you said it failed. But the thing is, previously before O1, most of the researchers focused on the training study now, and then everyone felt like we hate of this hard wall of if we will we scale the model to like 10x larger, or 10x more data, or 10x more compute, it doesn't help. And now most of people are focused on this chain of thought, inference scaling loss. Basically, the longer time it inference, the more accurate the problem is.
Cool. Yeah.
But barely any inference for impact for us because we're more doing document understanding, so extract the exactly syntax from the document without logic thinking.
Yeah. I think what I read is that it's a little bit different with previous release of the GPT. Well, every time OpenAI release something, half of my founder friends say, we are fucked up. We have to pivot. How to pivot now? But now I think this has the last chance. But it's very, very impactful models for the domains that require reasoning, math, and deep thinking on that.
And coding.
And coding, yeah, coding is very, very important. Yeah, so we start the panel with a little bit like high-level questions of OpenAI, but we want to give back a little bit about what you do both are passionate about. I share a little bit, but I think it's a pretty bad version of what your vision is about. Do you want to share a little bit more about what this company is about? What is your vision of the future?
Go ahead.
Again, I'm working on the data side. We are Podonos, and then when we think about data, and we have thought about like big data, huge amount of data, and data labeling. And once we have a huge amount of data, we inject, we annotate, and we process, get ready. Have a GPU, have a Python code, click button, hey, we have a model. That's typical way of model training. I'm very much interested in post-training data. Once we train a data and we have a model, and then how can we make this model better? So one analogy that I use is like, I have a middle schooler and that person is smart and energized, that's great. And then I'm gonna teach how to cook. So what we have done so far is basically, hey, you're gonna watch 1,000 hours of cooking video. So you're gonna watch your chefs, how to cook it, and 1,000 hour video is going to be enough to learn how to cook Chinese, how to cook Indian, how to cook Italian, and so on. And after that, you're gonna cook. And I don't think that person is going to cook. The next step is that we need Gordon Ramsay sitting next to the high schooler and teach how to cut, how to fry, how to steam those food, and continuously watch, oh, that's a wrong way, oh, that's a great way, and give a feedback. That part is the post-training data, and watching 1,000 hours of video is pre-training data. We have been working on pre-training data. Now it's time to work on post-training data and evaluate it. How good the cutting is, how good the fry is. That's what we do. But we're working on model evaluation, how good it is. Focusing on speech, we will expand further, and we are providing post-training data. I'm very much excited about that. And that means that the AI models will get the additional data systematically and automatic way. So continuously improve over time. That's what we do.
All right. Yeah. So for us, we probably have the customer for them evaluation tool. We build.
Thank you.
So we are the first large language model using vision modality for document extraction. So any of you are building RAG on document? Any user? Okay, you're on my target now. So basically our model have two modalities. So basically visual encoder and text encoder. And we train this model specifically to extract out the text, chart, table information from like different documents, like PDF, image, PPT, Word, etc. That's what we're good at. And if you compare us with OCR models, we are 2x more accurate than them on like chart or table extraction or question answering. And we are 5 times faster than generalized LM like OpenAI or Anthropic.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think that, so you mentioned about a very good ideas about the pre-training and post-trainings, which a lot of the founders are like debating and thinking about. I myself included. Like I was doing like pre-training when I was in a bigger company, but then I left the big company. I realized, well, I get the data to train. Well, I get the GPUs. Do I need to back the Jensen form, or even have the chance to back Jensen form for the GPUs? And there's like tons of numerous problems we need to solve. And then a lot of founders, I myself included, like we need to have a more balanced view. It's not everything going to happen. You build the next iteration of models. The model is not the solution for every problem. You need like post trainings, like fine-tune the existing models. You need like do some prompt engineering. You need like to combine that with RAG and other systems to build great applications. At the end of the day, the users just like vote by their foot, like whether they enjoy using your applications or not. I'm actually very curious, like on top of that topic is about what is the view about the agent workflow, because there's a lot of companies now building applications based on agent paradigm. So they build their app based on different API, orchestrating them. There are also companies who believe in end-to-end solution, like they just build a model that can input any forms of media, output any forms of the media. What is your take of the model versus agent debate in the funnel community?
Good question. So actually, we were the one building models, and when the agent got super popular, especially Bill Gates is like, oh, agents the next big thing, right? We literally have our engineer like getting into it, playing a whole week of agents, and we were like, this code should just buzzword, at least for us. We were prompting for like 3 minutes, and it cost us like $10 from OpenAI. Basically, at least for what I heard, like those agent framework like AutoGen, they are more like a for loop. So basically helping you call OpenAI like 10 times, at least you got the result. For me, those agent work are kind of chain of thoughts. So basically you have each chain of thought with answer, and those chain of thought can be trained into models. So I do think like agent is like kind of intermediate way that we're solving problems now, because we don't have the perfect solution for every use case. So that's why we build a really complex agent. But ultimately, once we train those chain of thought data into the models, we can get a much better, more powerful AGI model. That's my longer term.
I think Sheldon laid a foundation of like the multi-agents. Like instead of one big model can do everything, we have a specific model for maybe one modality, one language, one task, and that's probably the right direction of AI, because of like inference cost. The GPU is expensive, electricity is expensive. Instead of having a big one, we want to have a small ones, combine all of them together. And that's exactly like what human has done so far. Instead of one smart people solve all the problems, we have group intelligence, and a group of people like us gathered together, share ideas. Do you think it is a good idea? Do you think it is a good idea? And then get an answer.
Yeah.
So I see that that will be the direction over time. So instead of one big model, even already OpenAI have an internal multiple agents inside there and make it happen. And then the question is how to choose the best one. Among those agents and among those small models, how to choose the best one for my use case, and my use case is continuously changing, how to find the one. So then will become much more bigger problem over time.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting perspective. Is so what I hear you Sung mention is that it's not about agent versus model. It's about general models that face all solutions, or a model that solves specific problem, and you orchestrate those models to get a solution. I think that's also what Rachel mentioned about like having the channel sort of dedicated models solve each of the steps from that. So that's a very interesting perspective. I'm very curious, like just adding on that side, is like, which means that even you build agent workflow, you still need to be good at models. It's not like you do agent, then you don't have to worry about that. You at least need to be very good at tweaking models, figuring out what is the right model for use. Any thoughts on that direction from your side, or any challenging, any learning, especially juicy learnings you want to share with the community?
I think training is going to be definitely challenging, because the pre-training data, huge amount of data for having one model, and even though we increase the size of the model, we have probably 10x more data. We will not be able to have a model that can perfectly do what we want. Like even though, for example, like OpenAI, ChatGPT, we believe it's good. Yeah, it's good. It can solve math Olympiad problem, but it still makes a mistake in simple multiplications. And we're gonna teach how to do multiplication again and again. It will make a mistake. Basically, then what is the best strategy to make it happen over time? Well, I think it is some strategies of removing hallucinations and telling the truth. That this is truth. and you will focus on the truth and also the post-training data, continuously refine the model over time. So we will need a few of them. I already mentioned a few of them. I'm not thinking this is the end of all solutions. There will be more solutions, or maybe some model only tells the truth. Another model, LLM, which is probabilistic model tells about the stories and summaries, and it will become more specific directions. So some model is focused on data retrieval from RAG. Another one is the summarization. Another one is for the generating images. I think it will be like multiple models in the back, and there will be one single interface.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting perspective. So what I hear you say is that when you do build the models, it actually has different considerations for that. One challenge you mentioned about hallucinations, I think many of us are very, very interested about this topic. It's a very hard topic. We haven't really solved it yet. But what I hear you say is that maybe there should be a different models or different systems that have different purpose. One is maybe very powerful, but it's probabilistic. It's okay, it has hallucinations happen. But then there's other parts of the system that are really deterministic. You understand what's going on, it's explainable, that becomes the gallery of the whole system, so you're putting them together and pack it in a way that is reasonable. It doesn't have, the percentage of hallucination is small for that.
Mm-hmm. Not zero. Not zero. It's small.
It's small. Yeah, exactly. I think we have to figure out the 0, 1.
Yeah.
I think you will figure out 0, 1 will all lose job from that. Actually, that's related to another thing, because one such type of system people find very useful is the RAG, is the retrieval using the cosine similarity search. That's deterministic. It's easy to understand. You just do a dot product, and which is just check A is similar to B and return and figure out top K, send this to the LM and magically boom, happen. Unfortunately, most of the time it's not that magic right now. Rachel, I think you are the pro for the RAG. Anything you would like to share on?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not a pro for RAG. All the RAG builders are my customers, so
Yeah.
I learn a few from them.
Yeah.
So there are like probably 20 different versions of RAGs, first of all. 20 different advanced technology for RAG. Let's say if you are extract from like different document, right? And you can literally using, like say if you have an answer on both page 2 and page 17, right? How do you extract both answers, right? And if you use your like dot product similarity search, it probably work. But then it really is about like the semantic like meaning and how they rank it. Or you can use like the theoretical RAG. So basically you get the theoretical heading information, you get, this question is asking about, okay, what is the relationship between like topic A on page 2 and topic B on page 17? So you grab both using theoretical RAG. But again, RAG is, back in YC last year, we used to build this RAG solution, and then we realized the entry bar is so low, everyone can build it, so we were like, never mind. We were just helping you get your data. So your RAG is not only rely on OpenAI's performance, but it can also rely on your data quality, right? So basically what we do is we try the best to help you extract all the structured information, layout information from your documents, and you can build your best RAG on it.
Well, I recently used a RAG and built a RAG. I previously built it, so I think I totally agree with what Rachel said. That's it.
Yeah. It looks like both of you actually would love to hear more about if you about Rachel mentioned about many ways of the RAG systems, so it's starting with a simple idea, and then people build different ideas on top of that. So what are the other things along the direction of the RAG that you feel like super exciting?
Along RAG?
Or anything about the ideas we talk about having a system with like human knowledge into that can ingest and make LLM work better?
Good question. So it's probably more domain specific to the product we were building. Our product vision is more having document chat with each other. So now, like if we open our laptop, like we have to read from PDF, from Word, from Excel to do a different task or pull data from your database. Because those data never talk with each other, they have different format, different structure format. And our whole vision is to having a language model or you're like as agent, but enable those data talking with each other and without having human interact with those data 10 times, grab those data out for you. So this data, they can, like basically our goal is to extract those data from PDF, image, Excel, your database from different format and sending to the language model. And the language model get a holistic view of everything, letting the data chatting with each other, understand each other. And then we give you the final answer without you interact in the middle. That's our vision, which we feel super passionate about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm very much interested in like a self-learning AI. Like we have been teaching AI a lot, but that's basically the similar. Like can AI look at all the documents, all the images and videos, and learn from it automatically? Of course, there might be some domain problems, or if it is watching one type of data or biased data a lot, how can AI debias their knowledge automatically over time? So there might be a lot of questions, but can AI can learn by themselves? That's one big question. I'm very much excited about that. Another thing is interaction. The 4 LLMs we type, and LLM shows me answer in a character. But more natural interaction is language. If we tell them and then LLM answers back. The real challenge is the latency. Like currently, speech recognizer takes 5 to 6 seconds, and LLM takes maybe 2 to 3 seconds, and Synthetix takes another 3 to 4 seconds. How can we squeeze it down? Not just simple model compression or optimization, more on a single model that can turn my voice signal into the language model's input and do all the work and naturally generates output signals, maybe within 500 milliseconds. I'm going to be very excited about it.
Yeah. So that's actually very, very interesting because both of you actually mentioned about data as a paradigm that's coming. And also one interesting observation I have is like you both actually starting with a slightly different direction, like so you focus on models and Rachel focus on RAG. And then you do some work and learn and you end up based on a component based on the data, which you think like data is the number one problem for the model. And also in both of your cases, the data you prepared is it can be used by pre-training, but also in the post-training cases that can both be useful. I think that's also something people starting to get to realize data is useful in all stages. I'm curious that both of your take on first to understand how you get excited about data spaces and what are the learnings you had so far.
You're the data pro.
Well, first of all, the amount of code for processing model is maybe a few hundred lines. The amount of data, lines of code for processing data is 1,000 lines of code. So I'm more excited on that data processing. And of course, there will be a few architecture changes to achieve AGI. It will take multiple years, and try that. It will happen. That's good. It's more on the research side. But more practical perspective is how to deal with the data. And for me, data is like we have a big circle, and we put dots inside the circle, and can we fill up that huge circle. Another challenge is if we close our eyes and continuously randomly put dots inside the circle, and how many dots we need to fill up that circle. It's like data, like how many data do we need to make AI really working really well as we expected. So it may take forever. So what is the best strategy to have the data ready and continuously get the data from the model over time so that we can help AI model continuously learn new things and correct previously learned but wrong information over time, some damage example. What do you mean?
Yeah, totally. Just echo back to what you just talked about, reinforcement learning or self-play AI. Basically, data is so important for that, like, or feedback is so important for that. Let's say if your model in like the bad data all the time, so that is shit in, shit out, like garbage in, garbage out. I mean, as a scientist building model for so long, like, I mean, everyone tries so many different architecture. In the end, we all realize like high quality data is the most important one. The people who have the most complex, more high quality data, the people will have so much more traction in their model. And that's why I feel like the whole labeling space is really undervalued. Like you say scale back in YC 2017, like no one really trusted, no one really believed it would be like a company could go IPO. But then you now see like their search, they're prolific, there are probably 10 other like labeling company really thriving there. Like literally GCP, they just have like this 500 million of contract with like labeling company to label data for their model. That's such a business. But yeah, data quality is so important.
Yeah, there's a paper about that. Like if there's one bad data in the total data, the accuracy of your detection model will drop by 2%. And then that means that if you have a 10 bad labeled data, then your model sucks, cannot use it, throw it away. And how can we find those 10 bad data among 10 million data? It's a big challenge.
Yeah, I think that's very resonating. The garbage in, garbage out. A lot of times when we're debugging the code, we realize actually there's no problem with code. The problem is actually something that is not related to code and we do not understand. Like, do you have any fun story or interesting that happened to you like that? Or another thing related that we all know data quality is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any insights you would like to share on how to improve the data quality?
Okay, good question. Our team's recent learning to improve data quality is you need to be the labeler yourself. You cannot just hire someone to be a labeler. That's a really hard lesson we learned because we were training our data and we got our labeler label everything. So, oh, that's the best data, right? We have real human, high-paid human labeling that. That should be good. We trained it and our customer coming back, oh, you detect my name wrong. So basically the customer detect his resume, right? So we detect his name wrong, which is so bad. And we're like, oh, what happened? So literally we went back to say, okay, it's really you need to check the quality of your labeler, and everyone know evaluation so sucks. Like all the evaluation matrix is so hard to understand. It's not real. So basically, if you want to train a high quality model, you probably need to be the labeler. You label like 20 and 50 data yourself. Like we call it the launch and label. So basically we provide free launch and everyone label it. And as a scientist, you understand, okay, this thing sucks, we need to improve that. Yeah, some hard lessons we get.
I think that's really amazing. Like, you know, when we are training a new model, people do not want to take a look at those data sets. We just send an email to Scale AI, hey, give me 10 million images, and I have 10 million images in the hard drive. That's it. And I don't want to take a look at, I'm going to take a look at Python, PyTorch. No, you're right. We have to take a look at the data, and we have to understand how good it is. That's the first step. But 10 million images, it's like we go to the library and then there are a million books and we try to find a typo. is very challenging. And can we really go through all the books in the library and fix a typo? Why I'm pessimistic about that. Whatever we do, there will be an error. Like in the public data set, like ImageNet or the LibriTTS widely used in speech data set, there are errors. There are missing data, there are missing areas, there are the mislabeled data set. Can we live with those errors? Instead of 2% error drop at every one error, can we make AI robust in the training stage? I'm sure Scale AI will do a good job in data labeling. Whatever they do, because it's done by human makes a mistake. And we assume there might be some small typos inside the data labeling. How can we make AI learn that and self-correct it? And then the post-training stages, and can you tell me about the recipes for this food? And there might be some typo because they learned from that book and continuously correct over time. And that's probably the future of how we approach it, how we deal with the data.
Yeah, that's very, very important. Yeah. Also, Rachel, what I mentioned is very, very resonating. So I have fun personal story I would like to share. So in my recent startup, we're building AI friends who are very human, so can tell jokes, which is American jokes. I myself born in China, so I come to US only after 20 years. And I missed all the places, all the time where you watch American TV drama and jokes. And I worked very hard to our pipeline, fix every single thing. And the model is not funny. I was very, very, very frustrated. And then one day my co-founder tell me like, oh, you should just look at a stand-up comedy show. And then I like use it as excuse for me to watch the TV for a couple of days. When I come back, our model is just getting better. Reason? It's exactly like Rachel mentioned. As a developer, if you don't understand what is good and bad in your data, it's not a good idea. You have to understand. And so you can also not fully delegate this to labelers saying, just hand it down, give me back data. You are basically outsourcing the most important part of your company into a contractor or those externalities. And especially now that everyone's saying like developer become more efficient, you have these AI programmers helping you write code. You gotta free the time and then label yourself. You want to make sure your model is good. So that's my part of the story from this. Cool. So that actually is a very interesting topic. We talk about like the data and how does that impact the quality of the models. Another thing that people often ask about nowadays is because a lot of AI is in the enterprise applications. We're all getting asked questions about what is your moat? And scratch our head, like, what is our moat? And a lot of people will say data moat. Like we have access to like private data that is not publicly available and things like that. And especially in the enterprise spaces, that's very, very important. And I think both of you have customers who are enterprise, like you are also sell to business as well. What is your thoughts on that? How do you think that to gather data in the enterprise settings? Yeah.
Well, enterprise is quite interesting area because they are very sensitive about security and also they're very sensitive about the data ownership, and they want us to have a moat. Like, what is your moat? What is your approach? What is the strategy to make it better? So for us, we have actually multiple sources of data generators. In the back of our service, we have 150,000 people are already connected. So we do not own the data, but we have people who can generate data. So instead of selling the data itself, and give me the data and give me your model, we are connecting your data set with people in the back, and they tell us the truth about your data, and they now understand how we approach that, what is our business mode, and they are excited about that. Because at the second sentence is, we do not own your data. Your data is yours, not mine. They keep it.
Yeah, totally. Like for us, first of all, a quick question: who think OpenAI has a moat?
That's what?
Sorry?
Who think OpenAI has a moat? Oh, one. And it's 2, 3. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, what do you think OpenAI's moat are?
Proprietary data.
And?
Capital.
Good call. And?
Semaphore.
Hopefully no gunshot for him. So first of all, from technical side, OpenAI doesn't have a moat at all. We all know that, right? Like Anthropic's products way more better than OpenAI now, even though its revenue is never catching up. Like some of you mentioned, OpenAI's moat is the capital. Some of you mentioned is the proprietary data. Well, OpenAI is not trained on the proprietary data. For me, OpenAI's moat is more user. So basically, enterprise literally stuck on it. That's why Microsoft is still being used by a lot of people in the world. I mean, we work in tech, we probably barely use Microsoft's product, but it's actually the most common one used in the world. Like, because people are stuck there, they have all their user experience, their hobby building. Like, they cannot live without it. It's not everyone. I just traveled to the Middle East coming back. I just felt like people there is so different kind of people here. Like everyone here is more opening to try new tools, like opening to new technologies. That's not everyone, not every place in the world. That's probably over here. So long or short, OpenAI's moat is build everyone's hobby, having their tech stack building on OpenAI. That's it. And they have all their whole glue code all building together, glued together, right, into production, shipped to have revenues. No one wants to touch their revenue, right? That's their moat. And same for us, everyone else, right? Technology is probably your moat at the first thing. It will change. Your user, your customer, your retention will bring you moat. And that will bring you like proprietary data, like capital, etc. That is the more flywheels. But it's evolving at the same time.
Yeah. So what I have both of you mentioned about that is actually, if you do the AI for the enterprise cases, it's still like traditional SaaS business. You need to build trust with your customers, put them as your partners. You need to build like it's not just technology would be a single bullet that stop everything. You have to build a customer base, build the traction on that, like increase the acquisition cost. Like that's all the traditional SaaS tactics for that. And I think one trend we observe is that when the ChatGPT comes out initially, everyone thinks, oh, that was the whole existing SaaS company is gonna be completely screwed up. Fast forward a year from now, they are still doing well, but there's a lot of places where they got cracked by the startups. But for the places that happens, actually startups starting to behave and like very good executions, like the traditional SaaS company, and then you know AI better. So that would be the strength for the AI SaaS startups. So related to that, I actually want to gear the topic here a little bit different directions. Not about AI. Today is not everything about AI. Also, it's about startup building. So we have a lot of founders here. Founders have laughs and the tears, the highs and lows. We all know that. So the first thing I would like to ask on behalf of all the attendees here is that what is the most difficult time you feel as you are building your startup? Anything you would like to share?
It takes a long time to think about what is the worst. Every moment was worst. Every morning is like chewing glasses. But I think the people issue is the hardest. Of course, customer issue is something that we can solve. We approach them, we knock the door, and what is your problem? Are you not happy with our service? Can you tell me? And we do have some options. Capital problems. I think there is no, there might be some companies, but there is no company really dying because of funding. But people problem, especially co-founder problem, is very hard to solve. I have already experienced a co-founder breakup. It is very hard. It is psychological, emotional. There is no single answer for that.
I have the same experience as you. Actually, this is not a really serendipity thing. It's actually pretty common. There's a stats back in YC that 70% of the startup failed because of 70% of the startup failed because of co-founder breakup. And so it's a large chance of stats. And yeah, I share the same experience. It's really literally the worst experience I had. Like my ex-co-founder and I was literally co-worker together for 4 years, working together at Amazon 4 years. And we're like trust each other, good friends, but then things happen. You need to make the choice. So, but that really opened my eyes, because if you experience that, out the human issue, like if you want to fire an employee in the future, you never have that problem. I don't, because you know what is the worst moment, and it's not that hard at all. But yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Actually, I want to plus one for each. It looks like it's definitely very common. That's actually a saying that we founders often feel like. We think we are the only person who feel this thing and experience this. Most likely not. There's tons of things that you experience, other founders experience. It's the same exact journey. There's no, like you're building different product, but the journey you went through is definitely not special. Like you could go through exact same thing. And a lot of time there's like a lot of nuancing happens, like a founder's conflict. Actually, the founder conflicts are pretty common. I think I totally believe like 70% is the cases. And you need to work with it, like figure out how to way to make things happen. Like everyone has their own opinion, especially in the startup world. You need to make decisions very, very fast. It's high, like it's mission critical decision that determines the life and the death of your company. And you have no time. Half an hour later, it's gonna to make that and have no information. Gotta make it now. When that situation happens, it often is like a stress test of the trust among founders. And especially in the modern startup, like founder, like people is the only asset. Like there's a saying like OpenAI. OpenAI is no longer OpenAI without people, and it looks like they're losing people. So, like people is very, very important. Like so that actually leads into it's not just founders. In fact, it's also team building. Because sometimes you hire the team. There's a founders, like there's a conflict happening within your team, how to address that. There's a conflict between you and your reports. And there's like a conflict between you and your investor, how to address that. That's pretty hard thing. And I want to like delve this into this direction a little bit. Like, what would be your number one advice to people who might be in this situation? Like if you count maybe 70% of people in the room has similar situation, if you trust the statistics. What is the number one advice you will give people who are in this situation? How to build a trust and get out of the situation?
I guess some of you already got married. Like I think co-found. Okay, some of you already smiling. Yeah, the co-founding is like marriage. Like my first startup, we exit. That was good. Second startup, co-founder breakup. So it is marriage. Like how to live a good marriage life is similar to how to manage the good co-founder relationship. So it is not just, hey, we got married and then we're gonna live together in the same room. That's it. No, you should do something. You should have dinner together. You should talk. You should hold hands continuously. And you sometimes have a conflict. And why hair is there? Who is going to clean that? No, it happens. It is natural. And accept it and try to build a rapport, try to build a connection. I think there is no single answer, but I think there is a lot of knowledge people have collected for having a good marriage. I think we can borrow that knowledge into the co-founder relationship and how to build the co-founder relationship. How can we overcome troubles and go there? Or if you are not confident, you can live a good co-founder or marriage life with your co-founder or partner or husband or wife and do alone.
Exactly. Totally agree. Co-founding is like marriage. Basically, if you're in the current situation, do this level 3 conversation with your co-founders. It's pretty helpful. It's similar to Stanford have this famous course called touchy feeling. Basically, level 3 conversation means, so level 2 conversation means, okay, we are strangers, let's say hi, say good morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is level 3. Or level 1. Level 2 is basically we work together using our logic to solve a math problem.
Right.
Level 2. Level 3, you need to talk about your emotion, your feeling. So basically, grab your co-founder, go to a walk, go for a hike, talk about your feeling. What are the things he or she did previously that what you feel? Talk about that. And let him or she talk about that as well. And then you can understand each other much better. And do that maybe bi-weekly or monthly. It's really helpful.
Yeah.
And also setting up a rules like what everyone's going to change. Set us up that and going back to revisit every often.
Yeah, exactly. And both what you mentioned are very, very resonating to me, and I also use that a lot when I build startups as well. And over time, I also had a hard time with my co-founders in my previous startups as well. And I found them also amazing partners for my recent startups. But over the time, I realized one thing: it's a good metaphor. It's like co-founder is a very, very important relationship. It's roughly the same as a marriage. I wouldn't say it's more than, but it's like roughly very important. And as any important relationship, you have to maintain, and it's like a bank. You deposit things into your bank, and then you need to use the money from the bank. And you never deposit and only use it, you're gonna broke. That's how relationship works. And for startup, because every time you make a quick decision, move fast, you want to make a fast decision, you wouldn't be able to complete a line, and you have to do it. Every time this happens, is using a little bit of money in your bank, trust bank. And startup moves fast, so you actually constantly drawing from your bank account from that. And by the way, if you never realize like you need to do any founder company conversation, you're probably also not a good situation. You just like move too slowly, and you're never gonna win. So a healthy way is that you draw it's always saving, but never using or never investing. You're wasting opportunity from that. So the things like you have to be very, very mindful to deposit enough money, like have regular time to chat with your co-founder, not just in a work setting. Like go hang out and do a walk, the team building, like go something fun. Celebrate whenever you have done great things. Set up the rules ahead of time, so that you have a mutual understanding of what exactly they would expect and you expect when you are in a stressful situation. Those are all deposit, and do it regularly, normalize it, and you have a bank account with a lot of money, and when the situation happens, you'll be fine. And this is actually a very important part of the startup building. A lot of us, we don't put enough emphasis, but it's very, very important. Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up? Two questions. One is, how do you deal with the situation when your co-founder is remote? Second one is there anything that you can write on the paper in case, in an extreme situation, let's say my co-founder won the lottery and he decided he's going to quit tomorrow? And then, is there any way that you can prepare for that condition on the paper or something?
I can answer the first question. The first question is like, how can we work together as a remote co-founders? It's like marriage, but you're living far. Can you leave? I think it's very hard. My mistake is we did that. Basically, like we have an office here in the United States and also a team in Seoul, and then we are focusing on managing the team in Seoul. So what we did was basically moving back and forth. So that we spent time focusing on the team in Seoul, which is like let's say that we have kids living 500 miles away, and then we are taking care of them by traveling one by one. Then at some moment we realized that when was the last time we had dinner together? And that was the beginning of all the story. Documentation, I don't know, you have an idea?
Yeah, totally agree. That's my first impression. It's like for marriage, you don't want to live with your husband or wife like for the whole life remotely, right? So finding more time working together, like maybe either of you travel more, maybe working together. Your second question, I guess you want to know how to document the.
Yeah, so those things like just in case things happen, like for any reason, it's like a pre-mark kind of thing that you sign. You go to use your co-founder. I don't know.
Divorce agreement.
Oh, what is a pre-marriage agreement?
Pre-marriage agreement.
We don't have that. I don't think any of the marriage.
So what happens when your co-founder just quit tomorrow? Like how do you deal with the equity and how do you transition?
Okay.
Do you co-founder buyout?
Okay.
Do you agree that beforehand, like in case situation?
Good question. I can share with you limited data from what I learned at YC. It's really common in YC, by the way. After each batch, 20% of them break up. So we have literally a user manual talking about the stats, what we should do. So basically, if your co-founder working at the company within a year, he or she already take less than 1% of the share. It really depends on your original share equity split. So less than 1%, you already 0.5, something like that. If him or she work more than 1 year, that is you're less than 5%. Because after 1 year, most of people doing like 4 years with 1 year cliff, right? So most of the share needs to be returned back to the company, and you negotiate a deal, and she or him have less than 5%. But that is more from your lawyer side negotiations.
Yeah, thanks. That's good advice.
Yeah. And always put a vesting schedule for the founder stock. I think that would be my suggestion. Always put a vesting schedule, and that should be longer than your employee vesting schedule.
Oh,
Like
really?
at least the same.
Yes.
Really?
I've seen several cases, like some company, employees for 4 years, 1 year cliff, and then founders 5 year, maybe 6 year. That's
Yeah.
the schedule.
And how many years into it?
Oh, maybe 1 year, 2 year cliff. Yeah. Another thing that we do in Potonos is that instead of equal vesting, I set up unequal vesting. No, I think my idea is basically like first year contribution is not the same as the third year contribution. So the first year is going to take smaller, and then fourth year they will take more. So that's the structure that we shape.
Sounds like Amazon's RSU schedule.
Really? That's good company.
I think at like basically there's many solutions for that. It's not a one fit all. But at the end of the day, I think the ideal state you want to be is like this to be discussed with high trust with your founder, and we both agree. And so that's kind of like set a rule ahead of time. And later it actually helps. Also, like these are the things that it doesn't actually matter what exactly the rule is, but what it matters is that you actually discuss it, and you're okay to discuss it. It's actually, if you feel like you and your founders, you have something thinking and you don't want to, like you feel hesitant, like you feel like then actually the one suggestion I have is like figure out other things that you build a better understanding of each other, build more trust. Is probably an indication that your deposit account is relatively low at this point, and you bring out conversation that is higher than that will make it a harder conversation. But you understand that your own thinkings, your founder's own thinking, what is relation. Oftentimes the problem is coming from different things. Like oftentimes people need to think about how to figure out when there's a breakout, is because they haven't set up enough foundations that you have enough conviction, both of you. And if you have a founder who is like not fully committed, it's reasonable for you to worry. The problem is not prevent damage control in the beginning. It's about how to figure out what is the reason why your founder is not fully committed. What is their founder is the right founders, and so on and so forth. But you enter this partnership with full commitment and conviction. And if you are in that situation, you actually don't worry too much. It's just as a fair and simple rule, and you are both are willing to follow that.
And I think this is going to be a great business idea. Like there are thousands or maybe millions of companies co-founded by more than 2 people, and then AI or human co-founder counselor regularly meet and help them. It's going to be amazing because losing one co-founder makes the company shut down, and saving company by paying a few $100s per month. It's a small amount of investment, it's a business chance. I think if you are looking for a business chance, why don't you think about co-founder relationship, AI, counseling business.
Cool. By the way, that it looks like this is, I think 70% numbers is something that we all feel is very, very important. So actually, it's a great time for us to open to the questions, to the audience. Like, anyone have questions? Like, yeah.
Well, I think I'm an old timer here. I disagree with your marriage analogy. My first startup was over 40 years ago. And what I found made it successful in all the years I've done different startups is that I want a team that's constantly challenging. In a marriage, I wouldn't want that. But really, what made this company strong is I have a team that I allow them to challenge everything I say, every idea I have. So I have to think everything through very carefully. Because I want a team that's constantly pushing each other to the limit and be able to support each other. And in the marriage, you don't quite do that. You tend to be very, forgiving. But in the startup, you don't want people to be forgiving. You want them to push you as far as you can. That's, I think, is more important for a startup. It's not quite the same as a marriage.
I see. I think my wife is continuously forgiving me.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. That's actually a very interesting perspective. We're using this analogy about the families and the marriage. I think it's very, very helpful. But there's all this, everything has this nuance and caveats. Like, I personally also don't feel like companies should operate exactly like a family. Like often many CEOs, they say, our company is a family. It's not true. People don't know it's true. Like it's different. Like the company is more like sports team. You hold each other accountable. You come for excellence. Your family, you want harmony. Like your company, you want excellence. That's a very different thing. But there are some angles of family that's very important. You need to have enough trust, transparency, and enough amount of harmony in order to be excellent. So that's thing. I'm also curious, we're opening questions. This is a Q&A time, so in the interest of time, maybe we can leave for 3 questions, and so please be prepared. Yeah, this lady.
Share a little bit. I'm actually curious about because most of you are actually working on data. So I'm curious, you also talk about, quality of data is so important for AI. And my question is, you ever thought about doing anything or building tools to, to improve that? I think the same thing for you as well, like post training, same thing. Because when you fine tune your model, you need the high quality data as well, right? That's my question.
That's definitely a good question. I think that's what you're going, right?
Like to be honest, I have not thought about it previously, but I realized that one of my customer is using our service for data cleaning purpose. Like even though this product is not built for the data validation yet, but customers try to find a way to use existing tool for data cleaning. So my answer is no and yes. And we build it unintentionally, but the question is still there is a chance that the output is not going to be the maximum quality. The reason is it's done by human or AI. AI is probabilistic. It may generate some errors. Cannot be perfect. Human makes mistakes. So it is still a challenging question. Like I don't have a clear answer. Like will there be any tool to solve this problem clearly? I think that company will become a billion-dollar company.
It's more like an outlier, right? It's more like finding an outlier in the data set
Right.
that you exclude them before you use the data set for training a model.
There are some algorithms like projecting all the data set in the high dimensional space, and mostly they are crowded in the high dimensional space, and one outlier is far away from the cloud, and pinpoint that. There might be some algorithms to do that, but still nothing is perfect, as long as I know.
Yeah, we definitely use some algorithm to like label check, like, oh, this is machine label, this human label, this human label too, like compare using like common filter, like to compare, okay, who is the best, who is the worst, and kick off that labeler sometimes. I mean, this is pretty standard, I would say. Even 8 years ago, when people still use Amazon Turk, it's pretty standard, like because Amazon Turk labeler there is not that good, and you need a way to detect the good labelers.
Cool. We have, yeah. So we maybe have three. That's I have yeah.
I have a really good question.
Yeah.
How do you go to market? How do you find customers?
Good question. I mean, I used to be a really shy person, like try to avoid all this social as possible. Now my point to go to market is literally attend as many social as possible, putting you on the spotlight and let everyone in the world know you. And it's really literally a game of numbers. So basically, you have more people know you, the more people know your products, then you have a higher chance people trying your products, right? So, I mean, go-to-market is definitely challenging at first, but once you find a few channels, so try different channels like LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. There are different channels. Try a lot, and there will be channel give you good returns.
I can share my failure stories. Like initially, I was thinking that some researchers and academic society or government research lab would love our product. So we list up all the emails from conference papers. We send out emails, no one responds. Zero. We totally failed. And we changed the strategy. And my idea is that some people would ask such a question, how can we measure the speech quality like that? Somewhere, maybe YouTube, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Reddit. I try to find, and then I have some clues. Oh, that person has a question, and who is the profile? Oh, that person is the CEO of some certain ranges of the companies. Not too small, not too big. Then I expand a lot. Then they are the ICPs of my company now. And it's basically reverse way. Try to approach those companies and sell it. Instead of doing that, try to find their question and answer the question and then figure out who they are.
Cool. I think we also have a lot of social time after, so feel free to come to talk with our speakers afterward. I think that maybe we just like take one last question. I think Kevin, you have kind of a couple of times. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so very quickly, briefly, in spite of skepticism or AI hype, what would you say is the factor that sets the top 10% of AI startups set them up for success, rather than skeptical the 90% will fail?
That's like a question for investors.
Anyone wants to answer the question?
Anyone wants to volunteer, they're definitely an investor here.
What's the question?
Despite the skepticism of AI hype, 90% of AI will fail. What factor sets the top 10% of AI startups to succeed, to be successful?
So actually we did, by the way, I'm from CDB Capital. We invest from seed to A1 with our second investment fund about 300 million. So actually we did research on the AI industry. We think there's a couple of verticals that they will have a high entry barrier from OpenAI or Microsoft or Amazon. So those 5 industries, verticals are robotics, fintech, gaming, infrastructure, including machine learning ops, AI ops, data orchestra, edge, device, small language model, small model. Last one is the security, cybersecurity. And specifically for the infrastructure vertical, from what we observed that the tier 1 VC in the valley, in terms of their investment frequency and amount, largely in the last about a year also largely focused in that vertical. I can easily name a few companies like Creator AI, Replicate, Mass, Substance Compute, Lambda, Fireworks, etc. A lot of them actually are already made to the unicorn companies. So when we look at the deal, we look at the technical barrier, or at least the differentiation on the technical advantage, competitive advantage. That's something that only your team can do well, or at least can do better than your potential competitors. So previously I was with Sequoia, and we follow the same investment logic. So number one investment logic is the technical barrier. Because when you look at the portfolio company, if the company grow up fast and grow stay a long time, usually they come up with the at following time they come up with the technical competitive advantage. The other aspect we look at the TAM, total addressable market size, and the business model, whether you have a recurring revenue ARR coming. The reason that a lot of VC, Silicon Valley VC, make a lot of investment on the AI infrastructure vertical is that with the AI recent advancement in the last couple of years, a lot of verticals, a lot of industries, a lot of companies, they have strong intention to embrace the AI progress. But in terms of their talent team, not only talk about whether they can do fine tuning, really they have the team can do the rap. So and besides, they probably prefer to host their own model, other third-party model, on premise on their private network. They just do not have the talent, the team, to host their model, and besides build applications on top of that model. So they will rely on the third party, those AI also AI infrastructure companies help them to host their model and to do the wrap for them with their proprietary data set. So so with that all aspect being considered, I think we hope that we can improve our successful rate in terms of investment. But end of the day, as an investor, we probably cannot change, the market and all the competitive landscape. So we'll see. One more thing I'd like to add is that currently I do see valuation bubble in the AI, either agent development platform or agent or prompt engineering or applications or infrastructure companies, which is total normal. So I've been in the valley for 30 years. I went through the .com bubble time. So that's actually bubble. If that industry has no bubble, which means that's not the vertical that we should invest. Because this model will not run.
Very well said. Yeah. Also, thank you very much we have a lot of great engaging conversations, a lot of insights shared by both the two great speakers and from audience. Let's give a round of applause for our speakers and So given that, we'll conclude the panel session. And after that, we'll have the social room and also feel free to grab food. There's only one more thing between now and the food and the social part. It's a Photoshop. So let's take one Photoshop together. So Hong Yu will be our photographer.
Yes.
Let's come together.
Speakers stand in front of here.
Oh, yeah.